I define a flipped classroom as any time that you introduce new information and new concepts at home for the student to do on their own time so that in-class time is preserved for problem solving and discussion of difficult concepts.
In a flipped classroom, course content is delivered online prior to the class. So recorded videos or PowerPoints or readings are used to deliver course content. And then in the classroom, active learning techniques are used.
Classroom time and time you have in the face-to-face time that you have with your students is precious. So you want to make it as effective as possible. So by the time my students arrive in the classroom, they've already watched a number of videos. They've tried a number of exercises. So when they're in the classroom, we can start a dialogue, and I can feel more of a mentor than a lecturer.
In my case, I took the lectures that I used and recorded those lectures, or recorded the audio of those lectures while I was going through the PowerPoint slides. Did some editing, uploaded those to Blackboard, and the students watched that content during the week prior to when that topic is being discussed within the class itself.
I have recently switched to the flipped classroom approach, maybe about 4 years ago. Drexel, at that time, freshman, and I got together and developed a brand new online learning system. We called it Lemma. And ever since then, I've been using it for a flipped classroom approach.
In a typical flipped classroom session for me, the students come in and they've already watched videos or done some reading. And so a classroom session is very interactive where students work in small groups. I get to help them one-on-one. They also get to help each other solve problems and apply things. So they aid in each other's learning.
The major advantage is that it's just easier. It just makes the students way more engaged than if I was doing a more traditional style of teaching.
I enjoy the flipped classroom particularly because, for me, it makes the lecture experience a lot more enjoyable, more interactive.
All in all, I found the entire process of creating the content very rewarding. And of course, there is the great reward on the back end where the content that you've created once can be used over and over and over again. Thanks to students' feedback and some of your own experiences, you can go back and improve the content. I think most educators would enjoy that process very much.
The initial challenge when I was first starting was just the amount of time that it takes to prepare for this sort of class. But it's totally worth it because then you are set for a long time. Like, I'm still using the videos that I made 6 years ago.
Initially, I think students were a lot more reluctant to the idea of having to do this lecture part of it at home. There was a perception that it was kind of like, this is taking up more of my time, when in reality, that isn't the case. Though I do cover some additional material in our lecture that we have now, it's meant to really supplement what they're learning.
Drexel students are busy, maybe too busy, and having this kind of system and a flipped classroom approach gives them the opportunity to do it as their schedule allows them, and that's a big plus.
Another reason I enjoy doing flipped classroom is I say to them, you have control over your experience, and if there's something that I went over that was unclear, you can just rewind me and watch it again, or maybe go to the textbook and get more information. It kind of puts the control over that content back into the student's hand. And I think that students can appreciate that concept.
I think one advantage of a flipped classroom, when a professor can get to know their students, is that the students start to feel cared about and that they're important an important agent in the process. And I think that the flipped format enables a professor to do that because there's so much interaction.
I would say if you're starting a brand new course, that's always a lot of work anyway, so you might as well do a flipped classroom because we know they work better. I would say kind of start small if you're just trying to incorporate it into an already existing class.
It is a challenge. It is a great amount of work. It is very time consuming, but the reward is great. And I don't think there's much of a point in simply getting in front of the board and reciting a certain amount of information to a group of 30 or more students where there is very little opportunity for interaction.
Flipped classrooms are really fun. Class time goes by really quickly, It's fun to interact with the students and to get to know them better, and it makes the topic come more alive. And so I highly recommend it. It's a great experience, I think, for the students, but also for the faculty doing it.